Alright, how's it going, book nerds? Thomas here with Read, Review, Recommend, and today we are going to be covering Mistborn Era 1, Book 2, The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. Brando Sando be on his pen game with this one, man. Whew. The plot of this story is the plot of several things. The rise of Elend Venture, the political warfare of Luthadel, the journey to the Well of Ascension by Ven, the understanding of the Worldmore, the Kandra, the Kolos, just so many different things in this book. But I think the overall plot to this one really was Ven's journey to the Well of Ascension, Elend Venture and his rise to kingdom, and the political warfare of Luthadel. I have seen some people say that this one fell off a little bit, and I do mean a little bit, from the first one. I'm not sure if I agree with that. This was beautiful. It was beautiful. I loved the politics in it. I loved how we got more understanding of the Mist. And we're still kind of have a plot hole in the Mist that I'm positive that he's going to wrap it up. And then you get this emotional roller coaster of Ven finding out who she is. I mean, her being confident to unconfident, to doubting herself, to thinking she's just a weapon, to accepting everything that she is and more. And then everything that she's able to accomplish by the end of this one was just... It still blows my mind that he was able to cram everything that he crammed into 777 pages, I think it is, before the epilogue. But it's just like, dear Lord, it's wow. Yeah. The fact that he was able to do so much politics through this one, and yet the pace didn't feel like it slowed down. It still felt like it was just incredible. So let's get into this. Now that I've talked about it enough, I think the plot of this one was incredible. 9er out of 10er. The opening was crazy. So I did take some notes. I'll kind of read through the notes. So in the opening, Elend becomes king. It's been 1 year since the death of the Lord Ruler. You already get assassins coming in. People are dying. We find out that a Kandra has infiltrated and they don't know who it is. Marsh is back. He's still an Inquisitor. I'm pretty sure he will always be. But he's back. He gets seized. They go to where the Inquisitors have a hideout. Also that he can show seized this underground tunnel. This underground thing. And then Sazed finds this huge bit of history. It was just absolutely crazy. And then on the other hand, you really get to dive into more of Ven and Elend and how they are really falling in love. The crew is sitting there helping Elend set everything up and run the kingdom. And that is all within the opening. All within part one, you just get so much. It was so gripping right from the start. I don't know if the very, very beginning was as good as Kelsier staring off and him seeing the slaver or the lord that he's going to take down, but that was one of the best openings ever. But so is this one. Opening, again, 9 out of 10. Beautiful. And before we even talk about it, boom, 10 out of 10, no questions asked. The world building was insane. You find out that Eland has a brother. His dad and somebody else are coming to war against Luthadel, where Eland's king right now. You get to find out that there's not as many Mistborns as you would expect, but there are some hidden ones. Man, you get so much more information on the Mist. You get so much more information on the Terrace people. You get another Terrace person that you get to meet, a Terrace woman, who, once again, you get to see more of how they act, how they operate, how they put themselves into the world, and how their style of living is so important to people, and how their opinions are highly regarded. You even get Ven in the studying on this one, learning more about the Lord Ruler, learning more about the person who is supposed to be the Lord Ruler. You get to learn more about the Well of Ascension, and Ven is really starting to fall into this thought of her being the hero of ages. All the way into the fall of Luthadel and how it shows how powerful Ven can really be. What Ven is able to find out in this book about herself and her power was absolutely insane. She finds a new metal, and the way that she's able to combine it and combo it with other metals is just... Yeah, the world building in this one was insane. And if you are not one of those people that sticks around and reads the epilogue, you need to do it for this one. Just do yourself a favor, listen to me, trust me on this one, read the epilogue. It was a masterpiece in itself. So, moving on to pacing. This was what I wish political writing could always feel like. But I do understand that... Let me correct myself. This is what I wish political writing would feel like in fantasy and manga and things that where it's not supposed to be taken all that seriously. Now, in things, in genres, and stories to where the politics are supposed to be taken deeply as part of the core problem in the story, that I understand. But this did political pacing so well. It was incredible. It was just a fantastic blend of the love story of Elin and Ven. I'm not going to say romance because it's not a romance story, but it is a love story. The political mixture with it, along with the action, along with the mystery and the character growth and the finding out more of the history of this world. I have not read enough to really give him this title, but I would assume that Brandon Sanderson is considered one of the better paced fantasy writers out there. I think the pacing of this one was absolutely incredible. I do not think that it was quite as fast paced the whole time as the first one was, but I do think it was better paced than the first book. So, I mean, if you guys can't see a trend, got a lot of 9 out of 10s and above right here. characters. Every single character in this one gets some well-deserved growth. Even Kelsier, who's not even in this book anymore, gets some context to how much he had affected everything truly. Sazed has a giant growth in this one. You get to see how he interacts with another terrorist woman and somebody that he has a history with, somebody that he really, really bonds with over this story. You get to see kind of how much he believes in passing on his faith to other people and his studies to other people, all the way up until his doubting of religion. You get to see the full scope of Sazed in this one. You get to meet so much about Breeze, about how he's not just a manipulator and how he really is one of the more passionate people, and he really does care about people, and he comes from not necessarily the worst circumstances, and he's not necessarily from the same background as everybody else on the crew. And yet he still puts himself in this world because he believes that this is what he's meant to do, and he believes this is how he can help people, and this is what he finds his purpose in. All the way up until you see him doubt himself, and just you get to see how everybody is at their greatest and at their worst in these. I mean, it's just clubs and Dachshund. You get to see more of how they feel and believe in Kelsier, even though they don't necessarily think that this is the best situation, but they're willing to follow through with everything because they believed in him so much. And then some of Elin Venture in this book, Elin Venture goes top tier. I mean, just absolutely, from learning who he is, growing, maturing, becoming a king. And that is the best way that I can put it. Throughout these 700 and something pages, Elin Venture becomes a king. And a husband. A lover. A person that gives his trust. But by the end of it, learns when and how his trust is deserved. And not just throwing it willy-nilly. Like I said, this man becomes a king. And then you have Ven. Ven goes through the cycles of life in this one. I mean, what some people don't go through in their whole entire life, Ven goes through in this one book. She falls so deeply in love with Elin to where she starts doubting whether she's meant to be with him or whether she deserves him, to where whether they're from just two different worlds or whether she's too powerful and she'll never understand him, to feeling like she's just a weapon that's being used by political purposes. She thinks that she's growing bloodlusted and she's starting to like it too much, whether she is a weapon or not. She finds another Mistborn and bonds with that person, all the way up until the end where she accepts who she is fully, and she's finally at harmony with herself, at peace. And by the end of this, she is a walking titan of allomancy, and it is absolutely incredible. Just Ven's growth in this one is just some of the best out there. Her interactions with the Kandra and how she learns to treat them human instead of just like servants because of everything she's been through. How she learns to trust people more and more through this book. Even whenever there's times in this book where it almost knocks her back a peg and she shouldn't, she keeps listening to the lessons that she's learned and putting her trust out there. It's just... She even studies in this one. She learns so much about the history of Allomancy, the history of the Lord Ruler, and herself. The characters to me are a 10 out of 10. They just... absolutely incredible. I'm going to skip over writing because I'm pretty sure after I go over power system and ending, you guys will probably know how I feel about the writing. Let's say that. So, power system. If Allomancy already wasn't one of the best things, and feral chemistry, those are two of the best magic systems I've ever read. And this book only enhances them. I can't talk too much about it because I feel like anything I say would be spoilers, but you definitely get a better understanding of how the Lord Ruler did things and how he was as powerful as he was. And you get to see Vin really push things to the boundaries. You get to see her overcome things that you would not have thought possible within the magic system. I'm going to stop there as far as that goes because, yeah, I feel like too much of it would be spoilers, but absolutely incredible. There will be a spoiler section at the end. I will spoil some things along with part of the ending. The ending. The ending. The ending. The ending. Boom! He nailed it! He nailed it! The whole last, 200 pages or something like that. Just Jesus Christ. Oh my God. It was... I think the last day that I read, that I had time, I sat down, I waited until dinner was done, and I started reading whenever I started eating. Ended up putting my kids to bed, and then read until about midnight. But I ended up getting like 94 pages done the last day because I was so gripped that I just could not stop. I had to finish the book. I thought the ending of the first book was a masterpiece. But this one topped it. It was better. And I'm very excited because I think the last book is going to be even better. I really do. I really do. I don't even know how I can be saying that right now. But I really think the last book is going to be even better than what this one was. I'm really going to dive into the ending when I get into the spoiler section. But let's just say so many plot holes were wrapped up in this ending while still leaving new ones and some old ones with some curiosity left. You get to see Vin really become everything that you wanted Vin to become. But let's just say going into the third book, we are in a worse place than we have been so far. Boom! Madness. I'm telling you, it is crazy. With the ending words I will say about the ending, I am free. What a crazy line. Just honestly, what a crazy line. So, if you look at all this stuff, I'm sure you can tell. With everything you've heard about Sanderson, I do understand he's not the most complex writer. But with Everything that he does well about telling a story, I'm not going to criticize his writing prose as much as people like to do on the internet. I think they're crazy. It was more of a simpler read. This is one of the few adult fantasies that I think that I could hand over to my children or my eldest child, and they would be able to read this. Like, they'd be able to read it, comprehend it. They would enjoy the story. 8 out of 10. I know it's the lowest thing on this list, but I think his writing prose is his weakest thing that he does. And he still does it at a professional level. That just goes to show how well he does everything else. Everything else. So, for our all in all, what do we think? What are our thoughts on Mistborn Era 1, Book 2, The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson? We are going to rank it in, boom, all the way at a 9 out of 10. And a golf clap to the man, Brando Sando. Well done, man. Well done. Brando Sando, you killed it. So, before we get into our spoiler section, we are now going over The Gunslinger by Stephen King. That is what we are reading now. We are currently getting into that. We're also about a quarter of the way through Percy Jackson. We're reading that on the side just because sometimes I need an easier book to read while my kids are yelling, screaming, and I'm trying to cook dinner and do things. So I like to pick easier books to put to the side to read during times like that. But yes, the next book that we're getting into is The Gunslinger, and then we are going to hop into The Hero of Ages. So there will be a little break in between, but trust me, I will be getting to The Hero of Ages very quickly this year. I am very excited about that. So, spoiler section in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Alright. The new metal that we get to find out is called Derulium or something like that. It allows you to hyper enhance any metal that you're already trying to use. Vin uses this in some crazy manners throughout this story. I mean, just some wild stuff, bro. Some wild stuff. She murks the other Mistborn by by being a genius. He is using Atium, who Ven does not have, and she figures out a way to overcome that because she is just top tier Mistborn, man. She kills 50 people at once, just goes all the way through this army by a section of this army by herself to get to the leader to make him retreat. Whew. Sazed falling in love with Tindwyl was just such a good story, and not one that I technically expected, but one that, like, man, when he found her and she had died, that was one of the most touching things that I've read in a long time. It was crazy. And then his faith is just destroyed. And if you read the epilogue, it's just like you find out how whatever was in the well kind of manipulated everything and almost did a genjutsu type thing to everybody. And you get to see Sazed go back to where Marsh led him originally and read the original tablet that he reads in like the part 1 or part 2 of the book. And you're just like, holy cow, just it is truly, truly mind-blowing. And now knowing that Elend is also a Mistborn? What? We know how to make a Mistborn now? What? There's just, whew. This was one of the best books that I've ever read. I do think it was better than the first one. But I missed Kelsier. Dang, did I miss Kelsier? Kelsier is one of the best characters of all time. But Ven's still my favorite person in this series. I like Ven a whole lot. My birthday is in July. I am a Cancer. If you know anything about Cancers, I'm sure it makes sense why I find Ven a pretty fascinating character. It broke my heart that we lost some of the crew. Some people died. That just broke my heart, man. I am actually really, really happy that the right thing would have been for Ven to take all the power, but she released it, releasing whatever this entity was. And I cannot wait to see what happens. Just knowing that the Mist is out there murking people right now. Ven and Elend are both Mistborn. They have complete control over Luthadel and the dominances that surround it. They're not complete control. I guess they are going to, I would assume. Like, they're so powerful at this point. But now the real big bad is finally being introduced. And we're in a worse situation than what we even were whenever the Lord Ruler was going through everything. When we were backs against the wall at war against three armies. Now we are finally reaching the most crucial, dreadful part of our journey. And I'm completely here for it. I am so excited. So this has been my thoughts on the Well of Ascension. Really, I want to thank you guys for joining me in this review today. It has been so much fun going over everything with you guys. I've been Thomas with Read, Review, Recommend. Get out there and keep reading. Just enjoy these stories. Keep writing these stories. I will see you guys next time. Alright? Do. Later.